morning, everyone. Ready? My name is Dana Jones. I'm honored to present my good friend and our guest speaker, Jay Chodagam. As a meditation trainer, Jay has lectured in many colleges and universities and held workshops in 9 countries. He has traveled all the way from San Francisco to here to talk about inner peace and well-being. Please join me in welcoming Jay.
Thank you, Dana. And thank you all for being here. I see so many faces who, from the earlier sessions, so clearly something is sticking here, so I'm very grateful. So you all know the topic here. We're going to talk in this particular session about the pursuit of belonging. It's been very often said by psychologists and philosophers that to feel a sense of belonging is one of the most primal needs of a human being. Everybody familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs? Yeah, so in that you realize that after the fundamental needs of food, water, shelter, right, immediate things that to survive, air, and so on and so forth, the next thing man strives for is how can he secure that tomorrow he will get food, water, and shelter. Then after these basic needs are met, the next thing that human being seeks to consolidate in his life is the sense of belonging, sense of connection, sense of relationship, and so on. So we're going to talk about that rung of the basic human needs of belonging. So we're going to talk about today, why is it important? What are some of the characteristics of a sense of belonging? And how can I make others belong? Some of you who are in the service industry, some of you who are in the teaching industry will probably already have thought about, some of you are parents, right? This is a constant exercise to learn and understand how do I give a sense of security to my near and dear. And then I will talk about the importance of why contemplative exercises are important to first of all root yourself, ground yourself in the sense of belonging. So this famous quote that says, "To be rooted is perhaps one of the most important and the least recognized needs of the human soul." We all want to get together, we want to be a part of something, we all want to belong, and when there's that sense of belonging, there's an amazing sense of energy that comes up. People are willing to give so much more of what you would expect is their capability, their capacity to give of oneself when they feel that, when they click into that setting, into that space where they feel like they can be themselves, they can express themselves, they are heard, right? So I have a very off-the-charts video about an example of how this amazing energy, the camaraderie that comes about when one feels a sense of belonging.
The gang in The Wizard of Oz sang about lions and tigers and bears, but if the trio you're about to meet has anything to say, Dorothy and friends have nothing to be afraid of. Meet Leo the lion, Shere Khan the tiger, and Baloo the bear. They're all living together in the same pen at a Georgia zoo in perfect harmony. How is this possible, you ask? Well, Jayma Hedgecott is the director of the Noah's Ark Animal Rehabilitation Center, and she joined us along with the happy trio. Jayma, good morning.
Good morning.
So take us back in time a bit. I understand that you found Leo, Shere Khan, and Baloo 8 years ago when they were just a couple of months old. You rescued them from a drug bust. Why did you decide to put them all together? Why not separate them and put them with members of their own kind? I know you have other animals there at your zoo.
Come on. Well, when they came to Noah's Ark, they were all babies, and they were already living together, so we decided just to leave them together, and they've become a family, and they're just best of friends. play and wrestle and sleep together and eat together, and they're a family.
And you say each of them has their own role in this makeshift family. Tell me what they do all day long and what part each one plays.
Well, Leo the lion, he's a neutered male, so he doesn't have a mane. And, oh, don't be ugly. And he sleeps most of the time. Baloo is the boss. He tells us all what to do and when to do it. And then Shere Khan, which is walking around here somewhere, he's the one that's the most mischievous and the one that is constantly picking on these two, wanting to play all the time.
Yeah, and we should note this is an extremely unique situation. You wouldn't just put any lion, tiger, and bear in a pen together. They would not ordinarily get along in the wild either, correct?
That is correct. That is correct. No. They like to play with me really rough, so I have to be careful. I have to keep moving around. They like to, normally, when we come in here, they like to roll us and play with us, but you would not put them together under normal circumstances. No, you would not.
And normally, I would think most people would be concerned being in a pen with a tiger, a bear, and a lion. You're obviously not. These are very tame animals that you mentioned you've had since they were babies. But I know that you have a vet on hand. You consult with the experts. What's the verdict? Do they think that this is a healthy situation?
Well, yeah, because they've always lived together and they've never been separated. Baloo being over 800 pounds, I think he wants to come out here with the camera guys, and so normally you wouldn't put them together, but they're all three so playful, and they just always live together. You know, they eat pretty well the same thing other than the bear. Now, he does eat lots of fruits and vegetables and things such as that, but they do great together.
Well, we're glad everybody gets along, and I'm sure lots of people love to see them all playing together. Jayma Hedgecock, thanks so much. We appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you.
So the mysteries of bonding and the sense of belonging, circumstances can lead one to that. So as what you saw, the purpose of showing that video is that, you know, what one would consider to be nature, right, one would consider to be instincts, clearly gets overridden, clearly gets, there's actually scientific evidence nowadays that shows that the brain is constantly rewiring itself, and one cannot blame oneself on how one is feeling or how one is reacting based on something that happened 10 years ago, how genetically, you know, what my father did or my mother did, and so on and so forth. There is evidence now that to show that the brain is constantly rewiring itself and is able to create new connections and allow new flow patterns depending on what thought activity you're having, what experiences you're having right now. And here's an example of where, you know, traditionally, you know, you would never put, you know, these are sworn enemies out there in the open jungle, but conditions of how they were raised and the circumstances they were in, they don't know any difference. They don't know that they're supposed to be violent and, you know, and kind of opposing to each other. So, yeah. There's a question somewhere? All right. So we talked about the sense of crisis of belonging, right? Especially that those of you who had, you know, young children who grew up in front of them or who were in the business of either consulting or counseling or in the service industry where you're raising kids or responsible for teenagers and so on and so forth, you realize that there is a crisis that comes about in the sense of belonging, and because of which people do some things which are really out of the ordinary. So we're going to try and talk about how to cultivate the sense of one sense of well-being. If a person is not connected to me, so the question I have for you, if a person is not connected to me by birth or with pain, would there be a relationship? Ask yourself, can you think of any one relationship that you have right now that is sincere and authentic and something that's really empowering to you? very important. A relationship that is empowering to you, that has nothing to do with a blood connection or a relationship, but through, you know, that's my cousin, that's my uncle, that's my so on. Or because a person works with me, or I have to do it because I'm their counselor, I'm their doctor, I'm their nanny, I'm their, you know, caretaker, whatever it is. Yes, ma'am.
Do dogs count?
Yeah, sure.
Like I actually have dogs count. Mine had 8 years, the other one is 13.
Okay, great. Okay. Right, so take it to the next step. People connect because of three things. There's a saying, there's an old adage that goes to say that men come together because of their fears or because of their interests. So I'll extend that one more step further, that human beings also come together when they find an alignment of values, when they find an alignment of purpose, and when they find a common interest. Adolescence is a time when this very safe space of feeling a sense of belonging, where you're feeling very comfortable expressing yourself, and you're feeling that your sense of feeling heard in that space, for being yourself, is very natural. That gets challenged when you're going through this process when hormonal changes and the whole world seems to be re-evaluated and restructuring your neural network that's going on, the thought activity that's going on inside your head. And that is a time particularly when one needs to take the time to really reflect on what is my sense of those three things we talked about. What are my sense of values? What is my sense of purpose? And what is truly important to me? What happens is when you don't realize what is important to you in terms of your values, your purpose, and your interests, whatever somebody else says makes you either feel you're influenced or you get threatened by it, depending on your conditioning, because of depending on your culture, because of your religious preferences, etc., etc. It is not truly something that is alignment to my value system, my purpose, my interests, what I believe I'm here in this world to do. So, particularly important to me, why I go out and, like Dana was introducing, that I go and talk at schools and colleges and universities and so on, and corporate places as well. But my greatest interest is in helping young people, helping them to figure out their value system and their purpose in life. I tell you, there are three pointers which form, I believe, the GPS for the soul. Like you have a GPS, you guys have GPS on your phones, you have GPS in your cars. I don't know if you realize this, but the GPS needs to connect with 3 satellites at a minimum to be able to navigate you from point A to point B, figure out first of all where you are, and then you can figure out where you want to go. So there are three internal satellites that one needs to connect. So this is the GPS for the soul. The 3 things are, first of all, the question, who am I? First data point. The second data point is, who do I belong to? The third data point is, where am I in time and where is it that I'm going? Okay? 3 fundamental coordinates for us to figure out who I am, who do I belong, where am I, then I can figure out where is that I need to go. The irony of these 3 questions is, it is usually not taught in any of our school systems, not taught in any of our university programs, and definitely not taught in most work environments. No corporate training program typically addresses something that is so fundamental. And when you are not rooted in yourself, there is a sense of insecurity. And one tries to grab, because that sense of foundation and security, standing on your own 2 feet is not solid, you try to grasp for anything that comes your way. Sometimes making crazy, hurtful decisions both for yourself and the people that near and dear to you. So that's another workshop, that whole concept of asking these, this exercise of understanding, who am I, who do I belong to? What's my purpose in this world? Where am I going? So understanding, taking time to contemplate on that. I'm leaving you with these questions. Taking time to contemplate on that. And of course, we can talk some more. Hopefully, there'll be another opportunity for me to talk more about that topic. At the end of this presentation, you will see my blog. I write a weekly blog as well, where I go into the details about each of those questions and many other things, related topics. And you can keep in touch and discuss it. So the other second aspect about that, about the sense of belonging, is an attitude of respectfulness. Right? We automatically feel respectful for people that we feel aligned with our values. Right? Those three things: aligned with our purpose and aligned with our sense of interest. This is one area which we see a rapid decline globally in no matter what culture people belong to. An attitude of respect in how one talks to people around them, older or younger, how one talks to somebody whether they're not connected with them because of those two things I talked about, which is pay and a relationship. How we can give people a sense of their respect. That, my friends, is rooted on this premise. Unless you are comfortable with yourself, if you're not feeling a sense of self-worth, there is no chance of you giving respect to others. A rapid decline in respect in this world is clearly indicative of rapid decline of people's sense of self-respect. And your self-respect is declining because there is less and less time for yourself. What I mean by that is we live in the greatest wave of the age of distraction. Distraction, not destruction, distraction, which is ability to fluctuate. Your mind is wandering, wavering, attracted to different things. The tweets, the Facebook updates, the text messages, the email pop-ups, the YouTubes, the videos, whatever, right? The iPods and iTunes, all of this stuff. The world, the technology world, is competing for that tiny little slivers of space that we have for ourselves. When we used to walk to our workplaces, when we used to ride the bus in a quiet state, have our own time for ourselves, when we took a shower in peace, when we ate in peace, when we had time for our families, we ran, we jogged, for example, in silence. Now, all of that space is, from your own lives, you can figure out, there's a competition, there's $1 billion worth of industries that are running after that space that we call my quiet time. And unless you create time for yourself, where you sit and reflect on those three things that I talked about, as the three GPS of the soul, you are not going to have self-respect, and therefore, clearly, you're not going to be able to extend that beyond yourself. Then the next question is, okay, we see this rapid decline in sense of belonging, sense of self-respect, therefore respect for others, and so on. Taking it to the next level, ask yourself, what can I do to contribute to this quality and this value of respect that is happening in this world? Let me ask you this question. What would you do? I'm sure some of you are parents, some of you are siblings, some of you are teachers in this room. What's your step up? What's your plan to action? Yeah. To listen more. That's very, very valuable. That's very much on a decline as well. Our ability to be still and listen to somebody without offering our own opinion or for offering judgment. What else? Set aside family time. Yeah? Family time that does not include TV, video games, or some other stimulation. Yeah? What else? Yes, sir.
Telling people that you care about how they feel. Being honest.
Say that one more time. telling
Telling
people,
people that you care about, how you feel, being honest with them.
telling people who you care about how you feel and be honest with them. May I extend that one step further? Telling people, even if they are not your people, how you feel about them and being honest with them. It takes it to another level. Good. What else? How do you wish to cultivate an attitude of respect in your community, in your workplace, in your house? Yes, ma'am.
Simple please and thank yous.
Simple please and thank yous. Respectful in language, yes. Yeah. Such as, give an example.
Allowing someone to go in front of you when they're rushing.
Allowing somebody to go in front of you when they're rushing or when they drive when you're driving. When somebody's trying to switch lanes and they're showing the indicator, don't push yourself in there, right? Yes, thank you. Yeah. Communication, very important, right? So many times we try to avoid the situation just by avoiding any contact and communication. Yeah. It's good to get out in the open and discuss and let yourself, first of all, hear and let yourself be heard. So it dissipates a lot of the disrespect and the friction that might be brewing there. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Acknowledging others, especially those who don't know. Just simple good morning and initiate conversation with people.
Acknowledging people who you don't know. Is that what you said? Yeah.
Which
Very
you run
good.
into.
Right. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. People want to feel recognized. Right. I was listening to NPR the other day, and they talked about this very interesting interview. Did you all know that the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, for me, it was shocking to know. It is the single deadliest structure in the world. Right? The number of suicides that happen from that bridge on a weekly basis is by far, the second is not even half as much. And so they interviewed this guy who's a bicycle policeman, and all he does all day is, he and his team, is try to intervene people who are attempting suicide. And his analysis was, people commit suicide, they go to that point. There are people who seem to be having, physically things like they have, good house, good, they have income, this and that and the other, but people, when they feel nobody cares, that's when they feel pushed to that brink where they want to end it all and escape from it all. So just that some of the things that you talk about, letting people feel recognized, simple courtesies, simple expressions, simple communication, saying hello to people could actually make somebody's day that you can't even imagine how valuable that could be. Making somebody feel loved, which is what my next point is about. Anybody has anything else to offer here? Sometimes I find it amazing when you get into the space, personal experiences, personal sharings are so educative even for me. I can add to my own repertoire. Yes, sir.
What about relationships?
Yeah, we talked about that, right? We talked about relationships, and we also mentioned that relationships not based on conditional. That is, because, I have to live with you, you're my brother, you're my wife, you're my child, you're my whatever, uncle. Respect not based on that, but respect just because you're another human being. A relationship can be people outside of that box of, we talked about the three things that are most human beings tend to gravitate towards. You connected with me because of a value system. It could be church, it could be something else, or it could be a purpose. That means we both are football players on the same team, right? Or the third thing is an interest level, that we both are cheering for the Cardinals, and therefore I feel a sense of belonging when I'm hanging out with you. So relationships can extend even beyond that. Just courtesy, the things that we talked about, just, respect, letting somebody who's in a rush be. If it was your own brother, you would have a set of rules for that person. Yeah? You let that person have his way, or have that space. How come it's so different when somebody that does not align with you, either through culture, caste, religion, right? How the person looks, color, and so on and so forth. So relationship can is what we're talking about here is extending that beyond the selfish motives of, you know, is because of this, I get this person from this person, therefore I'm willing to give. Yeah? And again, that comes deeply when someone is rooted in one sense of self-worth. Then you can go beyond that immediate circle. But good question, yeah. Yes, ma'am?
Sharing your own experiences, whether it's mostly, you know, maybe something you've overcome, and the importance of letting other people, like you say, you know, people get to that point,
Yeah.
because they think that's the rock bottom,
Yeah.
but if somebody else has overcome it,
Yeah.
and you have that to share with them.
Yeah, so that's a great question. Can you guys hear what she said, or I need to repeat what she said? Guys over there, can you hear what she said? You got, okay, so I'll repeat it. So, what's your name? Sylvia brought up a very interesting point. She says, what about things like just simply sharing your life's experience? So let's say, if you've been to the brink of something either with yourself or with your loved ones and you were able to overcome it, what about sharing that with others? I tell you, that is a very, very valuable thing. Ask yourself this question. Everybody in this room, everybody, each one of you has something that you are supremely capable of teaching the world. Whether it could be fixing the bumper of a car, cooking a particular dish, or teaching a meditation workshop, which is what I'm doing here. Everybody has something that you are capable of offering the world. And what Sylvia is mentioning about is, when you make that offering to the world, it is helping somebody at some level overcome an obstacle, overcome somewhere where they're stuck. And therein forms a relationship. Today we live in an exciting time when we have the greatest tools to be able to share. So you're not just talking to the people on your street, or the kids in your home, or you know, the co-workers that you work with. We have an opportunity to blog about stuff. How many people blog here at all? How many people tweet here something meaningful other than yay Cardinals, or yay, you know, who's the one who won the last Seahawks, right? How many people tweet stuff, something that is really meaningful? Please raise your hands, I want to hear that, I want to see that, okay? Meaningful stuff, right? Give me an example of the last meaningful tweet you made. See, putting you on the spot.
Yeah, you did.
No, actually, the man behind you, he's trying to pass the buck.
Well,
Right,
you know,
yeah.
I try to start off the day positive, so I always try to tweet something that, you know, I have like quotes from people
Yeah.
that get on a daily basis.
Yeah, something that touched you, right?
And yeah, and something spiritual and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Because I tweeted, palms, and because I get palms in Proverbs sent to me, so I sent that out, and I think that's something positive.
Sure.
But I'm wondering, when you was talking in your, thing before, what the world is coming to and how you view it, because what is happening is that we're now starting to get shorter on time. And everybody's like, I need to hurry up, get here, and everything is getting cut down short.
Yeah.
We say we need to go back to speaking to everybody and saying, we said sorry and excuse me and stuff like that, but we don't say that. We say my bad. We don't say excuse me. My bad means what? What does that mean? It doesn't mean that you're sorry. Sorry means you're sorry, and we're cutting down everything short. I mean, you people say, well, I speak to people. That's speaking. That's all we're doing. That's speaking, because you said, like you said, the computers now are getting us advanced, but we're missing out on the small parts of saying, hello, good morning, how you doing? Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me. Now I'm in a hurry, and nobody speaks to anybody. They head down, headphones in, I'm to myself. And
Yeah, it's a very good time. Do you ever take an elevator? That's a great time to look at that. You are in a position to really make a connection.
Yeah.
Everybody's staring down or into something.
or stare at the nose.
Yeah. Yeah, and you can really, so the answer to that is really, we're not going to wait for some person to land from the sky to do it. We are the people we've been waiting for. You would have heard that Kobe saying. We are those people that we're waiting for. It's not like, Obama's going to do that for us. Even if he does, he's one person.
Yeah.
So it's up to really how I can make that change by being that change that I want to see.
So So shouldn't we start trying to put it out as in we need to go back to what we used to do? Because I mean, what we're doing now is, like I said, it's getting further apart. You know, it used to be a time where you get your, if you did something wrong on the block, you get whooped by everybody until you get home. I mean, now, you know what I'm saying? And now you see a kid like, hey, my kid. And then, you know, and we start, you know, doing the negative things that, where they parent at, what that mama doing, you know, we don't ever say that. But anyway, we always say, where that parent is at, you know, instead of trying to help the kid right then and there. So don't you think we should start now trying to teach people to just go back to the basics? And that's like when we talk in kindergarten and preschool, share, you know, and play well with others, which we don't do now, and be patient and wait, it's that person's turn, and we don't do none of that now. So that's what we should be having seminars on, going back to the basics.
Right. And let me say this to you. So all of what you said is great, and clearly you are an activist for bringing about that positive change, going back to basics, right? Back to relationships, back to how we used to be even 20, 30 years ago, right? I tell you one thing that I want you to keep in mind. All of that is only going to work and not going to have a negative response, reaction, when it comes from a place of authentic, pure, and conditional. You were in my previous class, so I know that you heard that word. A place of love.
Yes.
It's not a place of where I'm telling you what is right because I think what is right. No, I'm telling you what is right because this is the best thing for you. When it comes from that place, again, that comes from the place that I said quiet contemplation, remember, in the last class? It has to come from that place, not from the head.
Yes.
Okay? All right, so rolling along, that was a good conversation. Anything else that you guys are really bursting, kind of chomping at the bit to bring out? Okay. So I think we kind of started getting into this territory, but I want to go ahead and make the statement that to make people feel belonged is one of the greatest services you can do as a human being. To make people feel belonged is one of the greatest services that you can do as a human being. So we talked a lot about stuff. Let's talk a little bit about getting to that space where you feel that sense of unconditional love and you feel a sense of self-worth. And I'm going to take you to that space with a meditation, a reflection exercise. So I ask that you sit comfortably, feet flat on the ground, back straight, arms rested, wherever that might be for you, comfortable. And I ask that you start by taking 3 deep, comfortable breaths. When I ask you to breathe in deep, breathe into your stomach, not just into your chest. Just like when you see a baby sleeping very peacefully, you see that the stomach is what rises and collapses, not its chest. When you breathe deep like this, you automatically relax the body. I want you to step inside yourself, going underneath the skin, the flesh, in the bones. I want you to feel the energy at the core of your body. This is an energy that keeps the body alive, and it flows from the top of the head, down through the core channel of the body, to the very tips of the toes. Feel the energy at the tips of your toes. Wiggle them if you need to, but if you feel sensation there, it means there's energy there. Now, follow this energy as it flows through the foot to the back of each of your feet, to the heel. Feel your heel where it's rested on the ground. Now let that energy flow through your ankles, up the shins to the knees. Feel your knees right now. And then as it goes up further through the thighs to your back, feel the point of contact where your back is connected to the chair, is resting on the chair. Now, trace this energy going up through the spine. The energy goes up through the spine past the stomach, the chest, to the bottom of the neck. Now, let us start with the tips of our fingers. The energy flows from the fingers, feel the fingers, through the knuckles, to the palms, wrist, to the forearms, the elbows, up the upper arm, to the shoulders, on both sides of the shoulders, inwards towards the neck, up the neck, to the back of the head, to the top of the head, over to the front of the head. And let's settle here, right in the center where the eyebrows meet. This place here is just below the brain, just behind the forehead, somewhere between the ears. It's like the center of all conscious energy in this body. It is the center of all creativity. It is the center of all thought processes. It is also the center of all memories. Being centered at this seat of consciousness, I feel naturally relaxed. I feel present. And I become centered. From this place of quietness within, I ask myself, what do I really want in life? And from this place of being internalized, let me send light to my family, a positive good wish for unconditional love and well-being. Extend that light and that love to the entire community where I live. I visualize the community in front of me as if I was looking down on it like a bird. And push the entire community a sense of well-being and happiness. Next, I extend that to my entire city. Imagine this bird is looking from higher altitude where it can see the entire city laid down in front of it. And extend the sense of well-being and happiness. My whole city. Let's take a step higher, rise above the clouds into the atmosphere, and extend this light of happiness and well-being to the entire planet. A beautiful blue ball that we call home. We gently bring ourselves back into the awareness of this breath, seated behind these eyes. As we look out, we feel centered, relaxed, this feeling of contentment, sensing. Thank you. So I'd like for us to take just a few feedback from folks. What was this experience like for you? Relaxing. What else? Rejuvenating.
Feels good.
Feels nice. Anything else? Anything else other than what are those 3 steps that I took you to giving light, love, and peace to your family, light to your community, light to the whole city and the world, all levels of this. Yes, ma'am.
For me, it made me with a smile to store,
Mm.
and how individually, how I have the ability to not track, but to impact this world.
Impact this world
You know,
from
that
the sense
as
of,
the individual that I am.
as the individual that you are.
Yeah, that only I have the ability to do what I was created.
Only I have the ability to do what I was created. Very powerful. Thank you. What else? Yeah.
It kind of makes you think beyond yourself.
Thank you.
Less of me and how other people's actions affect me, and more of how I can make someone else's day a little bit brighter.
That's great. That's beautiful. So going from a place of feeling victim if I'm rewording what you're saying, that I'm affected by other people, that I'm influencing other people in a positive way. Great, thank you, that's great. Okay folks, we have a couple of minutes, I want to wrap this up. So in summary, we talked about cultivating an attitude of respectfulness, and you people gave some wonderful tips, and it starts with me. I don't wait for some hero to show up or heroine to show up from somewhere. How can, asking yourself, how can I contribute? How can I add to this attitude of respect, well-being, gratefulness, belonging, right? And to make other people feel a sense of belonging is one of the greatest acts of charity one can do. So here's some little tips I want to leave you with. How do you set up, a lot of you are young kids getting ready to kind of set off on your own life's journeys. Some things that I want you to take away, or at least to think about, is consider this quiet contemplation. A lot of you love this, right? There are a lot of meditation courses for free with some information about that. On the table here, apparently there's going to be a meditation class that's going to start here. There's a flyer about that. You can come and look it up. It's going to be on this table here. There's a lot of online resources that you can find thanks again to technology. One of the good things about technology, if you know what to look for, there's a lot of good stuff. So learnmeditationonline.org is a great website. Lots of guided commentaries and instructions. Make time to remember what you love. If you don't understand anything else about meditation, it is about taking the time to ask yourself this question. What is it that I love? Which is what I asked you at the end of the meditation exercise. What do I really want? Not what my neighbor wants, or my best friend wants, or what Steve Jobs wants, or some other marketing media campaign wants. What do I want? Because if you're not going to ask that question, I guarantee you, nobody else is going to ask you, do the answering of the question for you. You understand? Your companies are not going to ask that. They're interested in their interest. You've got to ask yourself, what is it that I want? And spend time with like-minded people. You hang out all the time with people who are talking about shopping and football scores and what that guy bought or what that lady's wearing. You become an average of the company that you keep. So seek friends who have higher values, higher goals in life. Just people who have an elevated state of thinking. And that will help you. It's been one of the greatest gifts in my journey. Since I've made this decision about 14 years ago that I want to not be a run-of-the-mill product of society that is rapidly getting more all of what is said, stressful, disrespectful, anxious, angry. It's all about, like you said, me, me, me. And like I said, I'll share with you my email address, and I write a weekly blog. You're welcome to subscribe, send me any questions. I know we've run out of time here. So if you want to ask anything else, feel free to hit me up with any questions. Thank you for your time.